Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today we're going to discuss the new developer blog about the Monolith Overhaul changes that are coming. So without further ado, let's just dive into it. We've been waiting for this for about a week since they announced that it was in the works, and a lot is changing. In fact, it's being completely overhauled, so let's get into it. Hello travelers. The Monolith of Fate has been designed with the goal to be one of our key systems you'll interact with in last Epoch's endgame. In the last year, we've taken major steps into realizing our vision for Endgame by updating the Monolith. We've removed level scaling, created timeline story quests to progress through, added more meaningful and complex boss encounters, and enabled all of this content to be empowered to level 100 for an additional challenge. And for those of you that have been here for a whole year, the Monolith used to not have timelines. The Monolith used to just be one rock that you just went to and it scaled forever, just one spot in the actual end of time map itself. Then they added in timelines. From those timelines, some of them could be empowered, and then they changed it to where you have now, where you have 10 timelines total, and they can all be empowered. It has changed a lot over time, and now it is changing again almost completely, and it's going to be awesome. While these changes have been well received, this is only the beginning of a long journey together. We felt there was a number of things we could do better to make the Monolith more exciting, have more goals and a sense of progression, as well as increased flexibility to enable us to add more content for years to come. So let's dig in. And it's true, if you've ran the Monolith for a while now, you realize it becomes really monotonous. You do the same thing over and over again. I will say, the first time you do it, the first time you see the bosses, the first time you go through the timeline, it's actually really cool, super exciting. But once you've done it about 26 times, it kind of starts to lose its appeal, especially if it's something that you were going to redo from like cycle to cycle in the future. Issues with the old system, listening to player feedback, as well as playing the new Monolith ourselves over the last year, we've uncovered a number of key areas we needed to improve. While we enjoy the concept of telling a story and a timeline via quest echoes, they often felt at odds with farming a timeline for extended periods of time. Quest echoes effectively reset your progress through that timeline, encouraging many to just skip them in order to keep farming. This is what many of us did, yes. The farming simply meant building up high increased rarity modifiers, often at the cost of accruing modifiers that could be frustrating or penalize your build in particular. There was a little in the way of target farming, and your echo choice wouldn't really have any tangible impact on your rewards for farming them. This is correct. Me, myself, I always like to go down to the level 55 timeline because it had the easiest base mobs. So no matter how hard you scaled it, it usually wouldn't affect you as much as, say, on a level 100 map would. Now, it did mean that I didn't get exalted tier 7 items, but I was okay with that as long as I could get good enough gear to make a build that I wanted work viably at end game. But now we're going to be changing that. Additionally, progression in a timeline could effectively be reduced to a number simply going up, and only tangible sense of progression otherwise was moving to the next timeline. Furthermore, our objectives within Echoes as they stand can make a player feel like they are playing on autopilot. Many of the objectives are from the earliest days of last Epoch. Go to a specific spot in a zone as indicated by your quest arrow and complete a basic task. And this is very, very true. You knew that you were either going to go after spirals, or you were going to end up doing a forge, or kill the boss that was waiting for you at the end there. And that was it. Those three things were the only three things you were going to do, and it got really, really redundant. We also needed stronger mid-term progression goals and rewards, as well as changes to the system to enable us to better support long-term chase as we continue to add new content. Alright, let's get into the exciting stuff, the revamped progression. Needs for the new Monolith. This feedback and playtesting experience gave us great clarity on what we need to do for the new Monolith. You need a better sense of progression, more variety in experiences from echo to echo, more midterm goals and rewards, and more player agency and strategy interacting with the Monolith. So let's get into the revamped progression. Our new Monolith progression system does away with the linear binary decision making. A Monolith timeline is now an ever-expanding web of choices, with a visible path demonstrating your journey through it. And then they have a picture of the new timeline setup. You can see that you have pathways that are way more connected than the current system. And on top of that, you can see that from each one you can go mostly in 4 different directions. to the outside of the area. And you can see how expansion in the future could definitely be expanded. Each one of these could have even more break-off points. This center line could be continued on even further. And really, other than that, we have some echo information where it tells you all modifiers for the last 2 echoes. Enemies have 30% endurance, 12% item rarity, 8% experience gain, and then echo rewards. It looks like you have idols down there. So I would assume that they're currently on this one that's blue. That's my guess. But other than that, I really don't know what to make of this picture other than there's 12 timelines and each one seems to be giving different rewards. So let's go down and dig into it a bit deeper. Each island on this web is an individual echo with its own modifier and its own specific records, such as piles of gold, rare relics, or even a unique item. Okay, so each one of these is now an echo, it's not a timeline. The web of echo choices will be randomly generated, but instead of relying on chance to discover quest echoes, your progress towards them is now deterministic. There is a progress bar at the top of the panel showing which quest echoes have been unlocked or completed, and the requirements of the ones that are still locked. Completing any echo will progress you further towards your next quest echo. So you can do an echo on any of these timelines and you will progress now towards a quest echo to complete, which will get you closer to the rewards that you want. So it sounds like all of them are tied together in a way. Instead of each timeline being separated, all of them are echoes now, and they're all kind of webbed together, tied together with the echoes that you do and the story on them, I assume. The result of this is that quest echoes no longer reset your progression, meaning you can continue in your timeline as long as you like, even if you are clear of all the quests. Moreover, once you complete the last quest echo, you can start progressing towards the first one again as you continue to farm the timeline. So it looks like quest echoes no longer reset after you do the third one, you beat the boss, they reset. Now it looks like you go through all of them in a clear progression as you just kind of go your own route through the entire 12 different echoes that you have. And then once you've completed all of them, all of your echoes stay, but you can continue on doing them again if you want. So they kind of have an infinite loop that they go on. So that sounds interesting. Definitely can't wait to play with it and see how it feels. Echo objective variety. All right, here we go. Some new things to do that's different than the forge or killing that boss or just taking on a few spirals that are located all over the map. To eliminate that feeling of being on autopilot while in a timeline echo, we knew we'd have to significantly increase the number of potential objectives you may receive. With this Monolith update, we are adding a number of echo types that are more distinct and mix up the way you engage with each echo. These will no longer only have an impact on modifiers you receive, but also encourage you to engage with your timeline web as a whole. So it sounds like with all of these different objectives you have, you're not going to want to stay in one echo and continue on. You're going to want to move around that map we just saw to the 12 different echoes that you have and do things in each one of them, which sounds cool. It's going to be really strategic now, which sounds awesome. Sounds like a lot easier for multiplayer coming up for you to work as a team and be able to do these instead of just all of you going through the same timeline or completing 4 of them at a time. It now looks like you're going to work together as a team, so it's definitely going to be a lot more strategic and a lot more interactive. Patrolling rares. So this kind of reminds me of that map when you get past the sewers. The name of that specific map I can't really recall, but you have the eyeballs, the floating eyeballs that go around in a set patrol path, and you take them on. So if you run clockwise, you can take them on real quick because they're in a counterclockwise pattern. But here you can see that it looks like the big void guy, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head either, but the one that smashes and then has all of the purple circles that take over the entire screen. He seems to be the one patrolling, and you can just wait for him to come to you, it looks like. So patrolling is now a thing, which means that you have a movable target to finish out a mono, which means you wouldn't just follow a quest echo. You gotta find them and learn their pathways so that you can try and cut them off and take them off earlier. This objective provides different ways to interact with the map. While you'll still be directed to your objective of killing the rares, they are now a moving target. It is often a good strategy to try to intercept where they will patrol rather than chasing your quest marker. This results in the dynamic encounters, as you will also be engaging with other enemies at the location, as well as any new friends you've brought along the way. And I'm going to assume by new friends they meant other enemies that you've brought along. Otherwise, this kind of hints that multiplayer people are coming with you, but I'm pretty sure that they're referring to the new friends as other enemies that you dragged along for your fight. Arena Echoes. Alright, this one's exciting. This one's going to be a big one for my man Lizard. The arena has a particular unique experience for our end game, and we've decided to incorporate short bursts of this experience into the Monolith via Arena Echoes. These echoes are not as frequent as normal ones. They're about 25% as common, so 1 in 4 echoes might be this small arena echo that you do. They will involve a 12 to 18 wave encounter, which can really alter the cadence at which you choose to engage with a timeline. Beacon Echoes. We're not only adding new echo objectives, but we're also adding new echo types that allow you to meaningfully interact with your timeline web. Normally, when you complete an echo, you will see 2 steps ahead, the echoes adjacent to the completed one, and the ones directly beyond those. Beacon echoes will allow you to see further. They are a special echo type containing a beacon of light, which can be charged to complete the echo and reveal all potential echoes in a timeline in a ring around it. Okay, so first I was very confused when I read this, but it started to make sense. Let's scroll back up to that map for a second and let's explain this a different way. So with this map, when we first came into this talk, we were talking about how this looked like 12 different timelines. Okay, it's not. This is just one timeline, I believe. And you have all of these different echoes. So instead of going up to a stone and you have 2 choices for which next echo you want to run, now it's actually progressive like this. So you have this echo, and once you complete it, that echo stays. It shows the echo that you completed, and it opens up new pathways to your next echo, and you can hover over and see the rewards. And then you can see like what you want to work towards. And you have these ones that have a beacon in it, and let's just say that this one has a beacon, even though that's definitely not the symbol for it. As you complete echoes on the beacon timeline, you can lighten it up, and when you light it up, it actually reveals more of the echoes that are around it. I don't know how far you can see, I don't know how far these go, but I assume these can expand even farther out as you complete more and more echoes inside of this timeline, and it will let you see like what the rewards are further down the line if you want to start working down that way instead of, you know, going all of that way and then finding out it's not something you wanted. I assume that's how it works, or at least that's what it's shaping up to sound like from this post, is that you're going to have all of these echoes are going to interact with other echoes in ways like that, where you'll be able to see them sooner, or maybe something else. Let's continue reading and find out what else you can do. As we scroll back down, we get to Vessel of Memory Echoes. So in the Vessel of Memory Echoes, normally when you complete an echo, you can't return to it and have to move on to your next choices. Vessel of Memory Echoes change this. The objective of these echoes is to smash the vessel of memory. Destroying it will reset the state of all existing echoes on your web, with the exceptions of other vessel echoes. This allows you to rerun them and claim the rewards again. Okay, so on that map we were just looking at, once you complete one of those echoes, you can't do it again. So you got to move on to one of those other pathways that you saw. And once you do that, if you find one of these vessels, you can actually open it up, or you smash it, and that opens up the echoes that you've previously run, so you can go and try and get those rewards again if there's one that had really good rewards that you wanted. So that's awesome. That's brand new. That's definitely a very interactive way to play. Then we have Vessel of Chaos Echoes. Vessels of Memory are not the only type of vessel. If you've spent time completing echoes and claiming rewards in a timeline, there will inevitably be a large number of echoes that you have chosen not to complete. You may have done this either because their reward was irrelevant to you, or the reward was not enticing. This is when a Vessel of Chaos becomes an exciting prospect. Vessels of Chaos echoes are rare, but completing one re-rolls the rewards of all the echoes that you have not completed, providing a chance for less enticing options to be swapped for more relevant or powerful rewards. Now that's awesome. So you skip all the echoes you don't want, and you do echoes that you do want, and then when you've done all the ones you do want, if you happen to have found a Vessel of Chaos, you go ahead and, I assume, smash that thing. When you do that, it re-rolls all of those rewards that you hadn't liked, and now some of them may be way more enticing or ones that you wanted. This is awesome. This is a system that looks like it's going to let you bypass the crap that you don't want to do and give you a chance to go back and make them into something you do want to do. So I really like that. That's really awesome, and that you have control over that. Reworked Echo objectives. In addition to introducing new objectives and echo types, the 0.8.2 includes reworks of a couple of existing echo objectives, spirals and forges. So those two objectives look like they are making a return. We've done a preview before where we went over how they look beautiful. They've graphically updated what each one looks like. They have their own element types. You can specifically visually tell that now just by getting to them and looking at them. The 3 old spiral types that are simply dealt damage have been replaced by 10 new types of spirals that are more dangerous and have many different effects, such as releasing a nova of projectiles, creating a slowing pull, or poisoning you on hit. And then here's some more map pictures. We got another one. This looks like a forge, like miniature. Oh, here we go. Forges have been replaced by time gates with new unique models and visual effects. What the hell is a time gate? Do you travel somewhere? What, is it a portal? I guess we'll get into that. So a time gate, maybe it's just a gate that allows enemies to come in when you click on it. So instead of a forge summoning mobs, now they're summoned by a time gate or come from another timeline. I don't know. It doesn't have any more details on that, but maybe it does further down. Let's continue. Corruption. Oh, here we go. Let's read this picture. Echo information. Completing this echo results in this timeline's web of echoes. However, the stability, active modifiers, and quest echo progress persist. Corruption increases the damage and health of enemies, but also the rarity of items dropped. And down below you can see the rewards for doing this echo resets the echo web. Okay, so in a timeline, you start on one echo, and as you complete that echo, it webs out. I assume it webs out infinitely. And then you have these, which can reset that and brings that whole web back down to crashing to the one. But now it's going to be basically as if you had empowered a timeline and restarted a timeline. You add corruption, and it says 40 timeline stability. I'm not 100% sure what this stability is. It's cut off in the, oh, there we go. 40 timeline stability. Does stability have something to do with the orobyss? I don't know. But now you go through all of these echoes. You can rerun this entire timeline, redo these echoes, make a new web. But the mobs are going to be harder to kill, and they're going to do more damage. So that's pretty cool. Really excited to dig into the corruption. Corruption is a new mechanic that will affect the difficulty of a timeline, similar to empowerment. Alright, we were spot on the money there. The more corruption any timeline has, the more health enemies have, and the more damage they deal. In a non-empowered timeline, corruption will also increase... Oh, so there's corruption, and there will be empowerment on top of each other. Oh boy, shit's gonna get real thick here quick. Corruption will increase zone level, significantly raising the difficulty. Since empowered timelines are already level 100, corruption instead increases the rarity of rewards you receive from echoes themselves, so that you're more likely to find powerful rewards such as a unique and exalted item. Hold on, so if you're already in a level 100, so if you're not in a level 100 area, you get effed by corruption, it increases the level. But if you're already in level 100, it instead is a powerful reward that gives you more powerful items, a higher rarity, such as unique and exalted items. So that's cool. It really wants you to be in that level 100 area. Empowered timelines now start at 100 corruption, initially providing the same effects as current empowered modifier, 50% more monster health and damage, and 50% increased item rarity and experience gain. Alright, so 2 corruption equals 1% monster health and damage and 1% item rarity. So 11 corruption would have only been a 5% boost in the up here in this picture that we saw earlier. So you need a lot of corruption. We're going to have to find a way to see how much of that you can stack. I wonder if it's infinite. However, this corruption can be increased indefinitely. So it's infinite, providing even harder challenges and an ever higher chance of powerful rewards. Sometimes I talk just one sentence too soon. The Shade of Orobyss. Another exciting feature coming to the Monolith of Fate. This is the most exciting thing that I want. I can't wait to find an orobyss and take it on and see how it feels in battle. In the current version of the Monolith of Fate, there is a choice between pushing as far as you can for more loot and negative modifiers, or resetting your run. The result of this is that farming a timeline meant actively ignoring quest echoes and constantly resetting your runs to no meaningful reward. With regular echo selection and discovery being decoupled from quest echoes, we now needed a new way for players to reset their timeline progress and build up corruption. Okay, this is awesome. This is kind of like something we've asked for before, where you could get to a certain point and the more echoes that you would run, you'd be able to finally do that third quest and reset it, but somehow we wanted some of the modifiers to say item rarity or something to stay. And now they're giving us, as you do a timeline, you build up this corruption, which builds up the difficulty of the mobs as well as your item rarity, and you keep the corruption when you restart, and you can continually build it indefinitely. I assume there's going to be a way for you to reset that if it gets too strong. I don't know if there's going to be a way for you to slowly reduce it if it got to be too much. Maybe some of the quest echoes not only add corruption, but maybe some will take it away. So there's a way that you can get to a balance point. Or maybe you just have to restart in general and do it all over again. We came to the conclusion, why not do that with the most epic boss fight we've ever made? I mean, why not? As you expand your monolith web, you will encounter shade echoes. These echoes will trigger an encounter with the shade of orobyss. So the shade's not quite as rare as we thought it is. It's not going to just randomly appear in a map. You're going to know the echo that has the shade of orobyss in it, and this will give you the option to either skip that echo if you don't want to take on the shade, or if you do want to take the shade, you'll know where it's at, so you'll be prepared for the fight a little bit. I say a little bit because from what I've read about the shade of orobyss, there's no prepping for the fight. The shade is a randomized boss with 30 unique skills and over 4,000 possible permutations. Successfully defeating the shade of orobyss will reset your timeline web and add corruption, allowing you to continue your journey in a timeline. Okay, so you're in the timeline, you made your web. If you kill the shade of orobyss, this is the new way to reset your timeline, but you keep all the corruption and do a harder timeline over and over again. So that's really cool. And you can skip the shade of orobyss if you want to continue expanding your web, adding more corruption to it before you reset it. So that's really cool. Shade echoes aren't just a one-way ticket to a permanently higher corruption and therefore higher difficulty though. Killing a shade always changes the corruption of a timeline, but once your corruption is above a threshold, encountering and defeating the shade closer to the center of your web will instead reduce corruption, giving you the opportunity to make your timeline more manageable. Okay, so they do have a way for you not to have to reset your whole timeline. You can actually reduce corruption with the shade of orobyss. So it not only takes you back and keeps corruption, but there is a way to reduce it when you kill the shade of orobyss. It says killing it the closer to the center of the timeline. So the sooner you take it on, I assume, or the closer it is there. I don't know if you can move it, if that echo there is allowed to move so you can get it closer to have less corruption or have more removed. But that's one of the things we'll find out when we play it. But it is nice to know that once your timeline gets too hard, you don't just have to reset it. You can kill the shade of orobyss and then have it automatically reduce some corruption to make it more manageable. That's awesome. Rewards and agency. All of these changes result in a number of improvements to the Monolith of Fate to enable players to focus on reward-driven decision making, having increased agency as well as interact with the system in a more strategic manner. This is awesome. Right now you just go to a chest and you have no idea what you're going to get. You just know that the more times you do it, eventually you'll get the items that you want, or at least closer versions of the items that you want. Rather than a choice between two echoes at a time, players may now choose the route through a timeline for any number of reasons, such as progressing quickly through the quest echoes, targeting specific rewards, avoiding mods they find frustrating, or maintaining a large increase to item rarity and experience gain. So now you have all of these reasons separated out and you can specifically target and focus on them. That's awesome. And then in their closing statement, we hope all of these changes will have a huge impact on how players feel they can engage with our endgame by increasing the amount of choice, reward, and challenge. We want players to be invested in their decisions, and they will expand their monolith and uncover Edora's secrets lost in time. Even more importantly, we feel this new system allows us to increase flexibility to add all kinds of exciting content to it in the future, but it's too soon to tell you what their plans are. Thank you for your support, travelers. This is the largest pass we have ever released, and we hope you enjoy it. Well, we are going to enjoy it. Alright, that's the entire forum post. I hope that going over it kind of answered some questions, or maybe you haven't even seen the post yet, but those are my thoughts on it, and I can tell you that without a doubt, I look forward to it. It looks way more engaging, way more interactive, and the choices just seem ridiculous. It seems like you have so many choices now, the way you can target things. You know, you're going to have lots of people trying to find the best way to do things, the best way to target farm uniques, hunt items, maybe just hunt gold, maybe to EXP. Corruption is going to be awesome. I mean, it all sounds awesome. But me, myself, I just can't wait to take on a Shade of orobyss. Even though it sounds like it might reduce corruption in my timeline, I'm going after it first thing. Alright guys, that's going to be it for me. Hope this was helpful. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you're excited for 8.2 and the new Monolith Overhaul. And until next time, stay safe, travelers.